When it comes to young recruits out there at Rose, what are you looking for when you out there on those recruiting trails?
Very simple. Well, at Rose, it's not very simple because you got you got to have the grades. You got to want to be an engineer, so you got to be in something STEM related, whether it's science, technology, engineering, or math. Those are things that you have to want to do. But outside of the academic portion, let's say the kid is qualified, they academically want to be here. The next thing that I'm looking for is the work ethic. I have two different phases when it comes to recruiting. I got the evaluation and then I got the recruiting. So I'm gonna evaluate you for real first. I'm gonna make sure, because once we start recruiting you, now we're using our resources to make sure that we get a chance to go see you and stuff. So once I pull up, I know you the guard that we need, you the post player that we need. But the evaluation process for us is very, very important. And in that evaluation process, I'm measuring the work ethic. Do your coaches got to consistently tell you what you need to be doing? How quick do you respond? When I call you, when I text you, are you texting back? Is it taking you all day? Are you on your phone during school? That's a trigger right there. If I know you texting and stuff in school, I know you ain't paying attention. So that already lets me know this might not be the spot for you. So the work ethic piece is the portion that is, and I believe you used this word earlier in the talk, but non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. You got to be willing to put the work in outside of stuff that we're doing with.
AC, God told me to start this podcast, and then he told me to call you. The time is now. You ready?
I got you, T. Let's do it.
Welcome, ladies, gents, and non-binary conforming folks. It is your boy, Dr. C, and I welcome you to another week of the Mental Locker Room podcast. I am, of course, joined by my illustrious co-host, Tesh Johnson. Tesh, how you doing this wonderful Sunday?
I'm blessed, C. Always glad to be here. Happy with what God has blessed us with, and all we got to do is keep showing up, man. So here we are.
Hey, and that's half the battle, because half the folks don't want to show up, man. You lose by not going to the gym at all, right?
Yeah,
You miss all the shots because you took not one. And thinking about our folks who are listening who may be stuck and using the gifts that God has given you, I know you got a spot for them, a place for them where they can talk through and work through that stuck feeling that they have.
Yes. I've got two more slots in my locker room, the legacy coaching program. So if you are a former athlete, current athlete, or coach who's tired of underachieving and you know that you're made for more, I want to help you take the mindset, the discipline, the skills that you developed in sports and turn them into a 6-figure business or career. All right. So if you're ready to unlock your potential on another level, go ahead and book a free strategy session with me or my team to learn more and join my Locker Room, the Legacy Coaching Program. And you can do that at competitiveedgeleadershipacademy.com.
Hey, and she just took your excuse away. She just said a free strategy call just to figure out where you at. So you ain't putting nothing in but time, and you got that, right? It's gonna pay off in the long run. Link up with T. She's one of the best in the business about helping you get unstuck in your business. And after you signed up for the Legacy to Locker Room the Legacy Coaching Program, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I know you're sitting here watching us, and we love you watching us. Stay up to date. Hit that bell. Like, comment, subscribe. You'll be helping a growing channel, and we really, really, really want you to make sure that you're sharing this, right? One of the things that folks do that really irks me is they get good things and they just hold on to it as if they gave it to somebody else, it would disappear forever. If you like the podcast and you've been rocking with us, share it with some other folks that you feel like will benefit from the message, all right? And, of course, again, you helping a small Black-owned business, and that's always a good thing to do.
I'm going to challenge them. See.
Do you think, T?
500 subscribers by the end of the year. 500. All right, so I know some people. Hey, what I don't know what the numbers is now. See, you got the numbers on it, but I know we down from 80% or 60%, whatever it was. We way down. But go ahead and hit that sub button, and let's blow this thing up so more people can get eyes on it and get what they need from it, so people can get unstuck and hear these stories. Of our guests as well, so that you can get inspired for more. It's too many people that are out here just living a life by default. We're done with that. Done with that. So go ahead and hit that button so you and turn those notifications on, because you know that you need more. All right. Now that's we got a coach on here today, so now Coach Teach done came out.
Hey, and
get it done.
That was a perfect segue into talking about our stories, because this brother that we got sitting with us today, man, we talking about grinding and hustling. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, today in the Mental Locker Room, I am thrilled to welcome a coach whose path to leadership reads like a blueprint of transformation. Coach Devrinn Paul, or as his friends, and we are going to call him today because we are his friends, Coach DP, is now the head women's basketball coach at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, one of the leading programs as far as demanding academic institutions. A lot of his players go on to be engineers. They building the stuff that we use, right? But that's only a scratch on the surface. He started as a student manager. For my folks that don't know what that is, my boy was wiping down the floors, running the drills, handing out equipment, checking in equipment, and he used that work ethic, actually starting from the bottom. And that took him to standing on the sidelines as Louisville was in 2 back-to-back Final Fours. He became a graduate assistant and then a video coordinator. And then he went on to rebuild programs at Marshall and Cincinnati, putting his fingerprints on recruiting and the culture, and something that I know he's passionate about, the team chemistry. What y'all don't know about Coach DP is that between all that college coaching, him and his wife also ran a basketball training business. And he became a certified educator where he taught full time while also building the business. Another educator on the line, brother. I feel you on a spiritual level. And he found time of all this grinding and all this transformation to also become a published author as of May 2025. His book, Coaching the Winner Within, 7 Leadership Skills to Elevate Your Team and Your Life. It was a book born from questions that his own coaching mentees kept asking. How do you do what you do? He built not just a playbook for X's and O's, but he's given us a framework for our personal growth. Coach Paul, welcome to the Mental Locker Room, brother. It is an honor to have you.
Man, I'm gonna have to start paying you to just just do that intro for me before I speak on any platform. Nah, I'm super thankful and grateful to be on today. Been watching you guys rocking it with the Mental Locker Room podcast, and anytime Teach call my phone, listen, I'm answering. I'm like, hey, what's up? What you need? And I'm just dialed in with good people, so I'm thankful to be surrounded by amazing individuals like yourself. So, what's up?
Hey, Teach got that effect on people. I'm hearing a theme over the weeks on the podcast that she got that effect on people.
Yeah, Coach. Welcome into the locker room. You are not a stranger. I was talking to Coach yesterday, and I was just telling him, man, all those times back when I was still coaching at the collegiate level, women's basketball, he would call in, talk to our staff, talk to our team, him and his wife. And so I just want to say again in front of everybody how much I appreciate you. I know our players now, those players that you were speaking to, they grown, they playing overseas, they full time in their careers, and they got businesses and all types of things, man. So even those conversations, they carry on into their lives. And so, man, I thank you and I praise you for what you're continuing to do, using your voice and through the game.
Appreciate that, Tish. And I remember those days, and the foundation is something that you
Yeah.
can't get away from. However you built, wherever you are, you want to make sure you always give back. So that's my way of always being able to give back. And it's funny you said, now those players are going on doing bigger and better things. Same thing with
Yeah.
yourself, bigger and better
Yeah.
things. So
Yes,
thankful
sir.
for that. And of course, being on with Dr. C. Hey, let's get to it. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Let's get it. All right. So before we dive into the details of your journey, which we will, I want you to set the stage for us and for our listeners. Can you share just your story of how your coaching business and your leadership framework came together and what experiences may have shaped that?
Definitely, definitely. Well, I didn't start out as a coach. I started out as a young athlete. I started out playing basketball and football. Football was my main sport at a young age. I started at 8 years old. My father took me to the playground. Back then, you played every sport that was at the
Yep.
community center. It's a little different nowadays, but back then you played whatever they offered. So I grew up. I was born in New York, raised in Louisville, Kentucky. I can call it Louisville because that's my city. So I
Yeah.
was raised in Louisville, Kentucky. So started playing basketball and football. In seventh grade, though, I went to go try out for the basketball team, and I was in middle school. I thought I was good. Back then you just go hoop on the playground, playing 21, playing pickup, and I'm thinking I'm nice. Go try out for the
Yeah.
team. I go check that gym wall. They put all the names on the gym wall that made the team.
Yeah.
And, my name ain't up there. I'm like, whoa, I went to the coach like, hey, it's got to be a mistake. My name's not on the list. He said,
Yeah.
son, that's because you didn't make the team. I said,
Man.
what? So I was devastated at that
Man.
point, 12 years old, thinking you nice. And then you get that wake up call. So I went home, and in that moment, my mother, she reshaped my mindset, gave me one of the best teachings I could ever get. So
Mm.
thankful for my parents. My mom told me, she said, okay, so you got cut, but walking around here moping and crying and looking like something wrong with you ain't gonna do nothing.
Right.
You're gonna have to do something different. So I'm gonna ask you the question, what are you gonna change so you don't get that same outcome?
Mhm.
And that right there, that one question really shaped my mindset, changed my perspective. So she also offered me a solution. She said, why don't you talk to your uncle? She didn't really know what he did, but he was involved in basketball. He's been a coach my whole life. So my
Mhm.
uncle was a college basketball coach. And he said, I'll work you out, I'll train you. So I started training with my uncle, started working on the fundamentals, one dribble pull ups, scoring with three dribbles, limited things that a lot of kids my age, they didn't know how to do. And that kind of separated me on the basketball court. I was already talented in football, but basketball was just a little bit tougher for me. So that separated me, building those fundamentals. And I just took that and ran with it. But that teaching really changed my lifestyle. So I kept playing throughout high school, but didn't take academics serious. Wasn't serious about school. Just kind of
Mm.
showed up, did the bare minimum, and just kind of skated through. So when it was time to go to college, my dad sat me down. Shout out to my pops. My pops was like, "Hey, you got to either work full time or you got to go to school. You can stay here, you can stay at home, but to be with me and your mother, you're going to have to work full time or you got to go to school." So I had
Yeah.
a little summer job at White Castle flipping burgers. I was like, I was devastated from working there. So I was like, nah, I can't, I can't
This
do the
ain't it.
full time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
nah.
definitely can't do the full time at the castle. I was like, I can't do it. So, so I called my uncle, who was the head coach at Kentucky State University, HBCU, in Kentucky, and asked him if I could come on the team. And he said, "Nah, you can't be on the team, but I'll help you get in school." I said, "Okay." So shout out to my uncle Tom Patterson, helped me get my first opportunity in coaching, and he said, "If you want to stay around the game, you should be a student manager." I kind of got offended. I was like, "Man, I can hoop. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I could go out there and get a couple buckets." He was like, "Nah, Dev, not at this level." I was like, "Okay." So I came to practice, and the crazy thing was I did everything the players did. I practiced with them, worked out with them, and I realized that helped me build a voice. So now, as I'm speaking to the players, they respect me because I could go out and hoop with them. So I started out washing floors, cleaning backboards, basically doing all the stuff nobody else wanted to do. And I
Mhm.
just kept showing up and doing what I was supposed to be doing. I got elevated into a student assistant coach by the time I got to my fifth year. It took me 5 years to get that degree. Graduated from there, and Isadore Rich, who was my academic advisor back then, which is another key thing. Sometimes I think we get so caught up in the divisions and am I starting, am I playing and stuff, and you don't realize how just being involved in a college athletic program helps you with so many resources. I probably would have never graduated if it wasn't for having that academic advisor that men's basketball had. So he sat me down and he said, I think it'd be a good idea for you to go to grad school. And I said, okay. So I looked at my options and, my family was already in Louisville. So I said I could live at home and go to grad school at University of Louisville. Now I was wet behind the ears at this point. I didn't really know much about coaching. And we had a women's coach at Kentucky State while I was there, Michelle Clark Hurd. And she was a phenomenal coach. I mean, top notch, turn that program around. And I admired her success. And I was a sponge. I used to stay around the women's practices and help out anything they needed. And we just built a relationship. And she got the assistant coach job at University of Louisville. So I called Michelle. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about going to grad school there. I want to work with the team. I didn't know, that's probably not the best way to go or if it's the way to go or not. So I just tapped in with my resources and she said, yeah, hey, I want you to meet Jeff. Jeff Walls was the coach back then. He's still the coach now. And she said, come on in the office and meet Jeff. So my first time going in the office to meet Jeff Walls, I knew nothing about women's basketball. I'm not going to hold you. I'm sitting there like, my uncle was like, you need to do some research, man. You need to look up. So I'm looking up. I'm like, ooh, they good. Like they went to a
Yeah.
Sweet 16. I'm like, oh, this is a legit program. So I walk in there and Jeff is in there and he said, man, what are you doing? I had a tie on. My uncle was like dressed for success, telling me all of these things. I come in there with a tie on. I didn't realize Jeff doesn't like ties. And the first thing he said to me was, man, take that tie off and don't ever wear it again. And from that day on, we was cool. I was like, I'm with it. Like,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna wear no tie.
Yeah.
I was like, we good.
Yeah.
So built a relationship with Jeff Walls and just started out as a GA there, and I didn't get any money my first year. They was very upfront with how I was going to have to work my way into the rotation, and I just did the same thing I did at Kentucky State. Showed up early, stayed late, did all the stuff nobody else wanted to do, and went to school. And after I graduated, my second year, I was on a full ride. And then after graduation, he was like, hey, you want to be a video coordinator here? And that was my first paid position in college basketball as a video coordinator at the University of Louisville. Shout out to Jeff for that opportunity. And while I was there, we went to 2 national championships, lost to both games to UConn back in their dynasty days. And we went to 3 Sweet 16s. And I mean, the amount of success there was just unwavering, but the relationships that I built there was endless. I still talk to all of those coaches till today. Left there, became an assistant coach at Marshall University. So I did that for 3 seasons. When I got there, they had won 8 games the year prior. By the time I left that university, we had won 22 games, went to postseason play for the first time since the 80s. So we changed that culture there, and I worked with a totally different coaching staff there. So that was interesting, being able to have a different perspective after working with Jeff for so many years and my uncle. I got a chance to work with a different type of coach out of the box. Matt Daniel was the coach while I was there. So
Mm.
that was a great opportunity. But I met she's my wife now, my girlfriend at the time, and we was dating long distance for 2 years, Tish. And I was like, hey,
Nah.
something got to give. Like,
gotta
we going to
shake.
have to make a move.
Yeah.
Dr. C over there smiling. I'm like, man, we got to make a move. So I was like, okay, my wife, phenomenal athlete, Hall of Fame player at Assumption University, 2,000-point scorer in high
Yep.
school, phenomenal athlete. So after she had graduated and started working in the workforce, she got into basketball training. And she started telling me the numbers. Like, I'm training over here. I'm making this. I'm listening to the moves she's making. I'm like, now, people don't really understand, but sometimes when you coaching, you're not making much money.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah.
even though I mean,
I know.
So I wasn't making much money. So although, it was very appealing, Division I coach, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I'm starving at the crib. So I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I gotta find something else to really shake. So my wife, she's telling me about that opportunity. I was like, man, I think we should do a basketball training business together. And my wife is more like the go-getter. I'm the thinker,
Yeah.
I'm the planner.
Yeah.
My wife is like, I'm about to make a move. Let's get it. So before I knew it, she's like, we on the phone. She like, yeah, I got a group of kids now that I'm training. I'm like, wow, she's actually doing it. So that kind of put me in a situation where I was like, okay, so what you gonna do? So that's when I said, you know what? I'm gonna leave college coach and step away for a little while, and I'm gonna go with my wife. So I moved to New York. Wasn't an unfamiliar place to me. I was born in New York, so we
Mhm.
lived in Long Island for 6 years. So I was like, all right, cool. So I went back to New York, and me and my wife, we lived together in Long Island, and we built that basketball training business. Went back to school, got certified as an educator, and while I was doing those things, I just started like connecting with personal development people and in that space, and I found that space so intriguing because personal development changed my life. You know, it changed my approach, it changed my perspective. It changed me. I started to attract opportunities instead of trying to chase down opportunities.
Yeah.
And as I was doing that, you know, I just got so like engulfed in it. And I got real cool with Eric Thomas, E.T. the hip hop preacher.
Yeah.
And that's my guy. So my wife seen that I had really liked this stuff, and she was like, you know, I know this is what you into. So she's like, why don't we go see him live? And I was like, "Man, yeah, let's do it." So he was in North Carolina. He was in Charlotte one time doing one of his speaking engagements. They had like one of their events. So we went to the event and we sitting down, and he asked a question to the crowd. He was like, you know, does anybody have any questions they want me to answer? So, you know, people started standing up asking questions. And my wife at the time, she wasn't really like into public speaking or like talking in front of people and stuff. So she stood up. I'm like, whoa. So I'm like, let me stand up because I don't know. We ain't talking about this. What's she about to do? So I'm like, let me stand up too. So I stood up, and E said he was like, all right, that couple right there. So my wife ends up asking a question, and ET was like, he was like, "Hey, I need them two in the back. I want to talk to them after this." And I was like, "What?" So he pulled us in the back, and there was this guy that was with him, Kendall Ficklen. I remember Kendall because he came and got me out the room and took me to the back room. So we sat down and had a one-on-one conversation with Eric Thomas, the number one motivational speaker in the world. And you can't tell me God not real.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so we sitting there, we prayed with him, he gave me his phone number. I started hitting him up. We started talking, and I realized, you know, I needed coaching. I needed somebody to like really like coach me because now I got this business. I ain't never ran no business before. So I'm a basketball coach and trainer. I didn't know how to be a business owner. Um, so that's when my wife was like, you know, I know you've been talking to E, but have you seen Kendall that's with ET? And I was like, "No, not really." She's like, "I think you should talk to Kendall." So I called Coach K, and he did, you know, a strategy session, and he said, "I could really help you, man." And the thing I loved about that coaching conversation was it was a relationship that we built. And he said, "Man, I'm gonna fly out there to New York." And that's how I started getting coaching. That was my executive coach and changed my life, really changed my life. And that's who gave me the idea to start a coaching business. And he was like, at the time, my Instagram was like Growth Sports or something. It wasn't even my name. And he was like, "Who is this?" And I was like, "That's the company that I wanna have." And he was like, "Don't nobody know what that is. They know who
Yep.
Devrinn is. They know who Coach DP is." He was like, "I don't see nothing with you coaching on there." But to be honest, I had kind of lost that hunger and that drive because you know when you a D1 coach, everybody wants to be around you. Everybody wants to talk to you. And now I'm a regular citizen. I'm a teacher. I'm a basketball trainer. I'm still trying to kind of find my way outside of coaching. I had never done anything else professionally. So he was like, he just brought back that fire and that hunger. And he was like, "Man, you need to go to coaching other coaches." And I was like, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah, you got a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. People would love to be able to sit down and have a coaching session with you." So my coach is actually the one that taught me how to get into the coaching business. And I just took that and I just ran with it. And one thing just led to another. We got back into college coaching at University of Cincinnati, back again with Michelle Clark
Yep.
Hurd. She gave me another opportunity, and we got there, and we was there for one season. And I'm gonna share some transparent things with y'all because I love y'all show, and I just want to be 100% honest on here. And we got
Yeah.
let go with that staff after one
Mm.
season. They let all of us go, and that was a different experience for me. Had never been fired in the industries. That was an interesting situation. You know, God always got a plan, and His plan always better than my plan.
Mhm.
So I
Absolutely.
just tapped in with some of my friends, and one of my close friends, Jason Pruitt, was telling me about Division III basketball, and he was like, "Man, you should look into coaching D3." And I was like, "Man, I don't really know nothing about that. I don't know. I don't know. No athletic scholarships. You know, I'm a recruiter.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's gonna work." And he was like, "No, just hear me out." So after talking to the athletic director at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, seeing the facilities, speaking to the student athletes, I thought it'd be a great opportunity for me and my family. So we picked up and moved to Terre Haute, Indiana, and that's where we are now. So that's kind of a roundabout way, but that's how I got into the coaching business, and that's how I started my own business as well.
Wow. Yeah, and you brought up Dr. Eric Thomas. Shout out to ET.
Shout out
One,
ET.
one of my coaches. By the way, if you for our listeners, if you do want to be one of those public speakers and you know you got a story, we'll drop that link too. Book a call with me. We'll get you connected with ET, Jeremy Anderson, Inky Johnson over here at the Next Level Speakers Academy. There's nothing like it. But anyway, coach, like that's so important. He talks about the stages that we go through, and you went through so many different stages, but there are so many, especially nowadays, athletes or whatever, executives, all these people, they try to skip steps, but you literally started from the very bottom. I think you might be a little bit better than me. I don't know. I don't th- I might have swept some floors in the beginning. But not too many. It's just like, I jumped straight into coaching, but I didn't get paid at all. Right. So I resonate with you there, but it's just the steps to get where you are. And so many people try to skip the steps where you went through all of this and you learned a whole lot that prepared you for where it is that you are now. You got coaching. With some people, they know it all, so that they don't reach out. They're afraid to say, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. There is someone that may have the answers to get me to where I'm trying to go, where I can kind of not make as many mistakes because they've already made those mistakes for me, and I don't even have to overcome those things. I'm gonna go through my thing, but that's so important. Just go through the steps. Even like that's how God even started the earth small. It was without form and it was void until it is what it is today,
Mhm.
right? So don't be afraid to start small, to the point where you can allow it to evolve into big.
And
I love it, coach.
and you got to keep working because that's the other part of your story that I love. That grind is you welcome it, right? You welcome
Mhm.
sweeping floors because you knew that at some point you was gonna get another opportunity, and the lessons that you learned from sweeping those floors were gonna resonate, right? And you even adopted trust the grind, right, as one of your core principles. And you mentioned in previous spaces that you've been in that it really crystallized when you transition into teaching. What was that hinge moment, that moment where everything came to you like, that's what I, that like this is the mantra that is going to influence the way that I operate in life with my teams, with my businesses, to trust the grind.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even really know where the mantra comes from. So I'm gonna start there, Dr. C. When we started the basketball training business, myself and my wife, we was like, everybody has kind of like a slogan with their training. So like, what's
Mhm.
our slogan gonna be? And we're more about player development. Like it's about
Yeah.
you, just like Teach said, like the steps, the fundamentals, because that's how I started playing the game. And I really believe you never leave your fundamentals. And that's what really my new book, Coaching the Winner Within, is all about. The 7 fundamental skills. These are the fundamentals that it takes personally to elevate your team and your life. So that's where it came from. We was talking about what's the slogan going to be for the business. Inside of the development piece, we was like, it's more about like, you got to like trust, like every day you come, it's going to add up. Like my wife calls it stacking days. Like every time you put one brick on the next brick, like every day you working to get better. But I was like, that's not attractive though in the market. Like ain't nobody try here. I'm just gonna be 100 with you. We're not gonna sell no sessions talking about that. So, I was like, man, we gotta get something like a little cooler. And
Yeah.
my wife was like, what about it being a grind? And I was like, I like that. I like that. And then we just kind of put it together, like instead of because at first we had trust the process, but I was like, what is the process? And then everybody uses process. So that's where we came with the grind. Now I started walking in it when I actually started doing all of the stuff. So the backstory is when I moved to New York, I got into teaching because I really just came out there to do basketball training, but I wasn't making enough money. And I realized I got all day and the kids don't get out of school, till 4 or 5 o'clock. What am I doing with all this time? And so,
Yeah.
one of my mother, my wife's mother-in-law was like, why don't you, just, go to the school and help out? So I started as a special education like assistant. It was like me and the main teacher in the room together. And they came in and they looked at the classroom, they did the evaluation in the classroom, and they was like, "Oh, y'all kind of like co-teaching." I didn't even know what co-teaching was. So I was like, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess we just trying to get the kids to just do the work. Like we doing whatever it takes. So
Yeah.
so she was like, you should really think about teaching. I was like, man, I'm not trying to get another degree. I done got a master's degree, a bachelor's degree. I'm done. And she was like, no, but the city will pay for you. And you could teach. They got a program where you could teach. They'll pay for you to go back to school. It's called Teaching Fellows. And I was like, really? So I got into teaching fellows. So I taught in Queens, and then I would drive to Long Island from Queens. So that's a 2-hour commute at no matter what time of the day it is. So I'm teaching in Queens, driving to Long Island, doing training sessions. Then sometime I'll go ref basketball games. I'll go ref the men's league after that. And then I come home. I don't get home till 10, 11 o'clock, and I'm waking up at 4:30 in the morning because I got to beat the traffic to get to
Mm-hmm.
Queens from Long Island. So I'm
Yeah.
waking up, working out, still doing my morning routine, still getting after it. And that's when I realized, ooh, this the grind. This is the grind right here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so that's when that motto or that mantra, it stopped being just words and it started being a lifestyle. And when we would go to the family barbecues, I remember the family would be like, "Oh, it's the trust the grind couple right there." Because everybody knew, my wife is doing, we got the same schedule. She doing the same thing. She working in the school, she teaching, and then she getting off doing training sessions, reffing. And it was just a lifestyle for us. But I'm so appreciative of those times, though. I'm so appreciative because in those moments, I built who I am today. So I'm just thankful for the grind because if it wasn't for the grind, I wouldn't be here where I am today.
And you got something that when you are training athletes, right? You're not one thing that I hate coaches that do and leaders that do this is you telling me to do something that you ain't gonna do. You telling me to how to go through something that you ain't never been through, right? And you knew it when you realized it was a grind. You were like, oh yeah, I'm on to stuff, right? Because now I got a picture that I can draw for those that want to know, well, what is the grind, Coach DP? The grind is doing hard things every day, consistently every day. And shout out to your wife. I know as a part having a partner in your life that can match that energy, right? You can feed off that energy, man. That says wonders, man. That says wonders.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I was gonna say, man, and I got a thing about. I like systems and strategies. I don't like. There's a thing about like striving for something every day that kind of irks me a little bit. But it's like it is a process, but the play on the words, but really walking in and purpose and going after what it is that you want, as opposed to, like you said, just talking about it. That's what I love. That's what I love. Because there's people like there are situations where no matter how hard you work, you still won't get what it is that you're trying to get because you're just working hard. The people at the White Castle, they work hard,
Mm-hmm.
real hard, but they're never gonna they're like experience a sense of freedom in certain aspects of their life because they don't have system and strategies and something greater that they're going after. Like they're content in a way, but they are working hard. And so I think that's what the listeners got to pick up. Like you guys, you knew where you were going and you wanted more, but you weren't afraid to get your shoes dirty and your hands dirty to get to where it is that you guys were to build to where you are now and to build what you guys built as well. So I love that. I love that. Now when you first got to Rose-Hulman, it was a rebuild year. Often is. when you take a job, right? It's not very often that you step into a great situation as a as a head coach. They bring you there for a reason.
Mhm.
So in that first year, you delivered a 10-win improvement from the prior season, and you set the tone for 24 wins in your first 2 years. When you got there, what was the first non-negotiable that you installed in week 1, and how did you defend it when that boat started to rock a little bit and it got a little bit uncomfortable when you had to really, like, put your foot down on that non-negotiable?
Great question. And to say a rebuild, I think we would be generous. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, to give a little context, when I first got the job at Rose-Hulman, they had 8 players on the roster. Now, the previous coach did a phenomenal job while everything was active, but somehow
Mhm.
the program kind of slipped away
Yeah.
after COVID. So out of those 8 players, you know how it is. You start calling kids, and one player's like, "Hey, I tore my Achilles." I'm like, "You ain't playing."
God.
So that's 7.
That's 7.
So it's we really was at like 6 after you start calling everybody. So that was the first challenge right there, was just building a roster.
Mm.
How do
Yeah.
you build a roster at a very high academic institution with engineers? And I got the job in July or June. And
Oh, man.
the kids could barely get in school here at that time. So it's kind of hard to recruit um, for that time of the season. So I really had to work with what I already had. And what I learned in that process is to continue to adjust and adapt. So that's what I did. But the first non negotiable, once I got a roster and once we got going, and I knew what we had, I got a full time assistant coach. Because at first, my wife was volunteering and I had a full time assistant coach. Shout out to Coach Mack. And we built this from the ground. And she was like, "Hey, I think we really need to focus on just the kids understanding basketball." And I was like, "Okay, but before we even get to basketball, we need to coach their mindset."
Yes.
And that was the first thing that I did. And the thing that I stand on is we're not going to just hop straight into basketball. We're going to coach your mind first. And a lot of coaches think that the mind is like something you outsource. Like, oh well, I'm gonna hire somebody to come speak to my team. And I think that's great. And I think you should be including other people from different perspectives to help your team to develop. But at the same time, you have to consistently be relaying the message that the team needs to hear. And to me, that first year, it was really all about us with the mindset. So we really dug into the mindset, and we had mindset sessions. So we did like a 6-week course at the beginning of the season and the preseason. So when you get an opportunity as a coach, you're always looking for loopholes. You're looking for,
Yeah.
okay, where can I get, like, they giving me an inch, I'm gonna take a foot. Like, that's just the mindset you got to have. So when I looked in the rule book, Division 3, you can't really do much with the team until they start practice October 15th. So I'm like, "Ooh, that's way too late for us. We gonna be done lost every game before we get to the game." So I'm like, "Nah, we can't do that." So what I learned is you can have leadership sessions with the
Yes.
team that don't count towards your days. So
Yep.
we had these leadership sessions, and in those sessions is where we coached the mindset. And it had nothing to do with basketball. I mean, we was coaching things like how to be coachable. What does that
Yeah.
look like? What 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 do you say when you're coachable as opposed to when you're uncoachable? Really breaking down, how do you accept feedback? What type of feedback works best for you as the individual? How do you respond in adversity? What's the best way to respond in adversity? How do you snap out of a bad day? We call it
Yep.
the snapback
Mm.
routine. You got to
There we
have a
go.
routine that gets you out of it, because a lot of times as humans, we just go through the motions. Oh,
Yes.
I had a rough day. Then the trigger happens. Then you go back to what you used to do, whatever routine that is. It could be negative or positive, and now you get the outcome. And usually after you get the outcome, that's when you either feel down about yourself or you feel
Yep.
good about yourself. So we
Yeah.
went through those type of teachings, the mindset portion, and it was a 6-week consistent program. And that was the
Yeah.
first non-negotiable that I had with my team. In order for us to get to where we're going, we got to change our perspective. Change what you're focusing on. Don't focus on the outcome. See, I knew we couldn't come in there talking about wins right away. They didn't even know
Yeah.
how to play together. They didn't even know how to be on the team. So
Yeah.
we can't just hop to the next step. Just like Tish said earlier, we had to start with the fundamentals and the foundation. And anytime you're willing to make a change in your life or with your team, it always starts with the mind. So that's what we
Yeah.
started with. That's the first non-negotiable as a coach. My first year with my team was those mindset sessions and really being able to coach yourself before you get to the court. Once you get to the court, I need you in a space where you can absorb the coaching, you can take the feedback, and you can make corrections, and we could get better. But we have to do the coaching before you get there.
Yeah. I love that. I love that because so many coaches, they just tell you to leave it at the door.
Mhm.
Whatever it is that you might be going through or whatever that you're dealing with, they just tell you don't bring it into practice. But you've given them now some tools and some strategies and a framework to go through and develop this mindset before you step on the court. Not just, hey, figure it out. You actually gave them something, some work to actually do so that they can really put it into action. And you talked about this earlier, just coaching with Jeff Walls at Louisville, and being around #1 draft pick Angel McCoughtry, one of my favorite players of all times. Would you say there are any daily habits or standards from that era that you brought over to Rose-Hulman, or is there anything that you decided that you didn't want to bring there? Because that's top. I mean, Jeff has been doing this. I would say he's a living legend um, at this point within his career. But would you say there's anything that you brought even from then that you still carry with you now in terms of standards?
Yes, for sure. So I mean, I've learned so much from Jeff, and still to this day, I go back and forth to the practices, and we stay in constant communication. That's one of my coaching mentors. But one of the biggest things that I learned from Jeff, and I'm gonna give you a twofold answer. I'm gonna give you the answer as an individual coach, and then I'm gonna give you what I took for my team, because I want
Mm-hmm.
to help anybody that's listening to this as well as a coach or a
Sure.
leader in that space. So I remember sitting in the staff meeting one day, and I had just became the video coordinator. And I'm sitting in this meeting, and I'm surrounded by, these assistant coaches. All of them are head coaches now. But I'm sitting in this room, and we got all these years of experience. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, like I just remember shrinking, like, oh man, what am I gonna do? What value am
Mm-hmm.
I gonna add to this? Or how can I do something that's gonna make me stand out? And I'm sitting in this meeting, and Jeff, he would go on these rants sometime. He just started just going off. And he was on a rant this day, and he was going off, and he was like, when I was an assistant coach, I was the first one in and I was the last one to leave. And I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, wow, and he had won a national championship in Maryland while he was there as an
Mm-hmm.
assistant coach. And I was
Yeah.
thinking, wow, this man done won championships. He a millionaire, uh, father, husband. I'm like, okay, if that worked for him, I could do that. I'm thinking that don't take no talent. Like I could wake up earlier, get to work early, and I could be the last one here. So I took that as a person. And that was the work ethic piece. I had work ethic from my father, but just like you said, it was like the work ethic with the ceiling, like White Castle, you only gonna get so much anyway. But now I was learning that entrepreneurship type of mindset. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna take that. So I started showing up first. I started leaving late, and I started building a relationship with him because he would be in the office a little later. So now I started learning basketball from behind the
Mm-hmm.
scenes, one on
Yeah.
one. So now, as I started learning basketball, I learned a major thing when you're building a program or when you're coaching a team. See, a lot of people put an emphasis on what type of offense, defense, transition, all of these things are important. But the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing that I took away and I use with my team today is the intensity aspect.
Mm.
Everything that we do here has to be done with intensity. And I define what intensity looks like on the defensive side of the ball and on the offensive side of the ball. So they have a checklist in their mind. So if I say, hey, you're not playing with any defensive intensity, they could go to the checklist. Did you have ball pressure? Check. Did you jump to the ball? Check. Was you on help side? Check. Oh, did you aggressively go after that rebound? Check. Oh, you got intensity. You already know. So though that intensity aspect is what I took away from Jeff and that coaching staff was, he did things different every year. But one thing that didn't change was the intensity level at practice. Our
Yeah.
practices were 10 times harder than a game at the
Yeah.
University of Louisville. I mean, you come in those practices, you're like, whoa, this is intense. And I love that environment because by the time our players got to the game, everything just flowed. Everything flowed and we could switch up things. We could make night matchups that we could take advantage of. And all of those things only work if you're intense. And that's what I learned
Yes.
from him. And that's one thing inside of our program. You're going to see us be intense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's real too.
Mm.
What, 3 years ago? See, we walked in there when I was still I was coaching at Longwood Division 1. We walked in Louisville. So that's where we get mad. So they were a Mad Dog full court press. So we run it too. That's where we even get it from, right? I ran it when I still played back at Flagler, all of that. That was our bread and butter. But that day they showed us how to really run.
Oh yeah. Hey, what Cat Williams say? Chrysler 300 look like a Phantom till the Phantom pull up. Then the Phantom pull up, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's right. This isn't the same car. They just look similar."
Hey, they dog walked the side of them. But hey, we had fun though. At least I had fun. I was climbing on top of stuff like I was Dwayne Wade in the championship, all kinds of stuff before the game.
I'm about to say, if you was doing it after the game, you were more Patrick Beverly.
Nah, let's get on this
And
bus.
that Yumson is nice now. That
Oh yeah,
Yumson is real nice.
Oh yeah.
Real
Oh
nice.
yeah. So yeah, man, that is a different level of intensity. So yeah, I know y'all gonna get it over there at Rose. Like if that's the requirement, that's the standard. You can't fake that.
Hey,
You
that's
can't
high
fake
standard.
it. Can't fake it.
And you know what? I love that you got so much from Jeff, but I'm also like very cognizant that there's another name that I've heard several times. If somebody that like when you met ET, you was like, "I need a coach." It seemed like you had him because you mentioned Michelle Clark Hurd several times and how she even helped you get back into college coaching. So I really want to know what advice did you get from her that changed how you make your people decisions?
Man, Michelle, Michelle is what I call my mama bear. That's like my mother in the business of women's basketball. Michelle keep it 100 with you. She gonna keep it real with you. But when it comes to the people side, man, Michelle is a wizard. Like she one of the best I ever seen with building relationships, being authentic, being herself while still having success. So Michelle taught me that. She taught me in every situation, you got to be yourself. You got to be yourself and you got to understand who you are and you got to walk in it. So Michelle had no problem with letting people know, I'm a black female from Louisville, Kentucky. Like that's her thing. Like she gonna let you know, she gonna be 100 with you and she's going to always tell you the truth. And those are the things that Michelle taught me, but she also taught me something that's very valuable for especially younger coaches out there. I learned how to have a significant other as well as be a great coach because Michelle been married to Lou for almost 30 years now. And, I seen them at the University of Louisville together. I seen them at Cincinnati together. And just that camaraderie as a couple and as a unit, you don't always see that. And Lou would be around practice. He'd be on the road with us. Me and him are good friends. Even when before I did the interview, I was sitting there kicking it with Lou. And, he's telling me everything going on with the program. I'm like, oh, appreciate you, bro. Thanks for the inside scoop. So, I really learned from her how to be yourself, how to always take advantage of every opportunity. Michelle did not let an opportunity pass her by unless she drained every drip out of it. And that's something that she taught me as well. DP, take advantage of this opportunity that you got in front of you, because you never know what can happen to you tomorrow. And even though, I was at University of Cincinnati for one season, it was a great experience. Great experience to be in that type of environment, be with that caliber of an athlete. You're recruiting top players in the country every single day. You can't,
Yeah.
it, it's unmatchable when you're in that type of environment. And that was all thanks to her. She did not have to take a chance on me getting back into college coaching. Who's not been in college coaching for 5 years, comes back in and gets a power four job? It doesn't
Yeah.
really happen like that. It doesn't happen like that. But for Michelle, it was all about the relationship. That's literally, she told me, like, I'm bringing you on board because I know I could trust you. And I know that
Yeah.
you got my best interests at heart. And that's really how we rock together. And we family till today. That's my mama bear. Shout out to Michelle.
Shout out to Michelle. She's at Mercer now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep. Killing it. I know she gonna do her thing over there too.
And
Yeah, for sure.
that sounded like
Yep.
a conversation that we had when
What's that?
we was watching Boston in the Wizards game. He was like, "Hey, I built something. I want you here
Yeah.
because you trust." I think again, as much as that speaks to their character, Coach DP, that speaks to you as well, right? Again, them lessons learned from mopping floors, that whatever my job is, I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna be the best person doing it, so that when somebody thinking about someone to do this job again, they're gonna go, it don't matter how long he been gone. I know he can do it. He gonna
Yeah. That is the ultimate compliment. The
Mhm.
ultimate compliment. Do people call you to come back and work for them, or to come and work for them? Either way, that is the ultimate compliment to just who you are as a person, as a coach, and the trust factor as well, which is huge, especially in the game. So here's my favorite part. I've been waiting. I was going through the steps because that's what y'all want us to go through, the steps, but I'm here to talk about the book, baby. I want to talk about the book. Coaching the Winner Within. Oh, Coach, first, man, tell us how this book came about. First off, because obviously in there you pair leadership principles with a workbook, and you got a digital bundle and everything like that. But just tell us how this even came about.
Man, I'm super. First of all, shout out to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't have been able to complete this book. And
Mm,
God's the one that put it on my heart. I just kept feeling this sense of sharing my experiences with everybody to help them. But I'm very structured, and as a coach, you strategize, so you're not just like trying to just throw a bunch of information out there. So the book came about. The story behind the book is actually, I was coaching one of my private clients, because I also do professional coaching as well. And one of my private clients was like, you know, she wanted to move up. She wanted to elevate in her career. She was an assistant coach. She wanted to become a head coach and ultimately get at a higher level. And every time we would talk, she would be so consumed with the basketball stuff. She'd be like, yeah, I got my portfolio. I got this, I got
yeah.
that. And, it wasn't just her, but these are conversations that I had a lot with other coaches, other leaders, entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah.
And they seem to think like their craft is like the most important thing. And I
Mm-hmm.
realize it is important. You definitely have to
Yeah.
be good at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But I've realized that it's not about what you know, it's about how you grow and how you
Mm,
develop. And when I started to coach her more on the personal development side, she started to see the shifts happen even quicker. And I realized, I was like, "Ooh, this is where it's at." The coaches are so consumed with the basketball that they've overlooked themselves. So when
yes.
you really wanna elevate or take your game to the next level, it starts within. But we already have all of these skill sets that I teach in the book. We already have these skill sets. but
Yep.
we have to sharpen them and we got to pull them out. And that's the winner
Yes.
that's inside of us. So we got a winner that's inside of us that's hiding inside of the personal development work that we're not doing. So
Yes.
I developed these 7 leadership skills, and they help every leader to sharpen their skill sets. And it's a personal development piece that walks you through. And the workbook came as a product because one of my close friends was I let my inner circle read the first version. And he was
Uh-huh.
like, "Man, this is so much information. It's great, but like I need something to work through. I need to
Yeah.
follow it. I need to really I need to take all of the information and apply it." And I was like, "Would you benefit from having something like a workbook?" He said, "Yeah, for
Yes.
sure." So that's why I made the workbook. So now you can get
There
a
we go.
physical copy of the book, Coaching the Winner Within. You can get the digital workbook that goes along with it. I have the audio book that I personally read myself. Um, so that's the trio right there. A lot of people like that, getting all 3 of them, be able to rock out. If you just want the physical copy, I have that as well. All of them are for sale on my website, devrinn.com. You could pick whatever format's best for you. But, the feedback that I've been getting from the book is tremendous. One coach actually texted me and he said, "Man, this is a must read for new upcoming coaches. They should have to read this book because all of the content is digestible and you could just pick a chapter and learn from it."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that. That's so important, right? Because we can consume so much, but if we don't take the practical action steps to put these things into play, we've just consumed something. But there's always a step after. And so that's good. Like, that's so important to have people around you that aren't afraid to give you real feedback that is going to take what you've created and developed to a whole nother level outside of what you may have originally thought. And that's so important, to have those people around you. But man, congratulations on the book. One, I know I can't wait to get my copy.
Coming
So
soon.
I'm gonna dive in because I know that whether you are a basketball coach or a business owner, an executive, a manager in any capacity, you can learn something from this book because it's coming from an athlete's mind. It's coming from a business owner's mind. And
Mm-hmm.
so anybody in any leadership role, I know already from even not even opening the book that is going to be something that's applicable for anyone that has a mindset that's ready to grow, because that's important, man. So thank you for not being selfish with that. Like you said, thank you to your Lord and Savior, to our Lord and Savior, because just as He is the ultimate creator, we're made in His image and we're creators. And that's what you've done. That's what you've done. And some people take forever to write these books, man. But you got it
Yeah,
done.
I had to get to it. I had to get to it because one thing about that private time with God, he be checking you. He like, "Hey, you said you my son. Like, let's get this done, my son." And when you keep praying and God keep telling you same thing, he's like, "Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
finish the book, finish the
Mm-hmm.
book." I was like, "Okay,
Yeah,
I got
and
you,
all
Lord."
that other stuff. Can you finish the first step before we can get to the next one?
Yeah,
That's what
and
yeah.
each chapter starts with a Bible scripture.
I love
So
that.
I teach about how meditating on the word of God is the foundation of you prospering and you being
Mm,
successful. So without the word of God, none of these teachings are gonna really work for you. They can help you, but for you to really see the transformation, it starts with your relationship with Christ. So I'm very big on that, and that's why I even tell them in the intro the secret sauce. The secret sauce is your walk with Christ. So
yeah.
don't just overlook the biblical treasures that are in the book because I really,
Mm,
really resonate with those as well. And people have said that this has helped them on with their walk with Christ, getting to a point to where they can see it, they see how the scripture goes along with the teaching. And that's why I always start with the mindset, because the Bible tells us be renewed by the renewing of your mind, right? Then
yes.
you can test and approve and you can see what God's will is for your life. You can't see what God's will is if you're walking around with this mindset of the world. And if you're not careful, the world, I mean, you look on Instagram, any social, they putting out there what they want you to see. And if you keep
Yeah.
assuming that, it's not going to lead you to success.
Not at all. Not at all. That's what I told C a few weeks ago. I said, it's just so much going on the internet. I'm gonna get on there and approve these posts that need to be on social media out there and for people to see. But outside of that, I can't do it. It's just too much going on there.
Much.
So thank you for what you're putting out into the world, but in a way that glorifies God.
Much appreciating.
I'm sitting here processing on the book. Got to get my copy as well. But also, you know, for folks who are like me, right? I'm an instructional coach, but I'm not like an athletic coach, right? But still want to make sure that I get something out of the book because your message of win from within transcends any kind of occupation. So when you're working with folks that are non-sports people, people in business, or some folks that you remember from education, what is the one exercise that's in that workbook that consistently they say, gotta do it?
No brainer, mastering your morning routine. Every high achiever has a morning routine. But the twist in the book is, and when you get the workbook, you could develop your own personal morning routine. I call my morning routine the mastery thinking routine. But after you go through the chapter in the book, you're gonna have a name for yours. You're gonna have a time regimen. You're gonna have a time when you do it. It kind of walks you through every step that it takes for you to have a morning routine. But I always start in any coaching. First of all, the client has to do the morning routine for at least 14 days straight. And I'm checking on you, making sure that you're doing the routine. A lot of people think that the routine is more around the time. I'm not concerned with the time as much as I'm concerned with you consistently doing it. So consistency beats the time, in my opinion, every single time. But mastering your morning is going to help you eliminate stress. It's going to help you be more productive throughout your day. It's going to get your thoughts in a clear state where now you can take steps towards accomplishing the things throughout the day. It's going to keep you grounded in your integrity. For example, you know, in my morning routine, some of my non-negotiables. Now, you may have a busy morning, you may not get to everything, but things that I make sure that I do every single day: prayer, meditation, visualization, journaling, exercising, reading, and thinking. I'm a dude, and like you heard my story. I mean, I was waking up at 4:30. Sometimes I just would put 5 minutes on my timer on my phone. I put my phone right there, and for 5 minutes, I would meditate on the scripture. You know, a lot of times we think just but praying is when you're talking to God. When you're meditating, you downloading the scriptures inside of you.
Yes.
So now this is coming all inside of you. And now that's how when people be like, man, you said something that really resonated with me. It wasn't me, it was the Holy Spirit that's inside of me that's connecting with your Holy Spirit, because mine is awake. Sometimes my spirit is not awake because we letting it sleep and be dormant. So we gotta wake it up. We gotta wake it up. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that I teach all of my clients. And your personal morning routine comes from what's important to you. See, if you just get the cliff notes, you would be like, okay, let me just take DP's 7 things and no. That's because that's what's important to me. So the first step I would give anybody that I'm personally coaching is write down the 5 most important areas of your life. And usually people put, you know, their family, their career, finances, religion to some capacity. Everybody kind of puts the same type of things. And then I ask them, I say, where can I find this in your calendar? And I tell them, you can't count, because it's the effort assessment. I just want to know, how much effort are you putting into these areas? And they'll be like, oh, well, you know, I'm putting effort in there. I'm like, so where is it in your calendar? No, I don't have to put this in my calendar. It doesn't count. Doesn't count because you're not being intentional with your time. So how can you say that this is important to you, but you're not intentionally blocking off time to work on these things? So this is where we structure the time around the things that are most important to you. And this is how you invest in yourself. See, a lot of times when we look on social media, it'll just be a post: invest in yourself. You should be invest. How do you do that? This is how you do it early in the morning before you get to anybody else. This is how you walk on purpose in purpose by mastering your morning routine.
So good. So good. So good. And you said something, whether it's your morning routine or Eric Thomas's morning routine or Dan Martell's morning routine. Everybody has their thing. The point is not to just copy what they're doing. It's to put something in place for you that is for you and become consistent with it so that you can get the transformation that is meant for you. Love it. I love it. And the accountability part I love as well.
What's on your calendar? Like
Exactly.
the Capital One commercials. What's in your wallet? What's on your calendar?
Yeah. See, no, I don't play. I got a time block for everything.
Hey,
But
Tish,
them
you gotta,
first
can you talk right now? Check my calendar. All right. So that's a no.
Those first 5 hours, you can't even get a hold of me because that's my morning routine.
Mhm.
And it doesn't include anybody else if they're not God. It just is what it is, unless you're my gym partner or something like that. That's different. But it don't involve none of this. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's so important. Where is it? Where is it on your calendar? Are you being intentional about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis? Because if you're not, then you're not really committed to what it is that you say you want.
Yeah, and
I
you're
love
not
it,
gonna
DP.
you're not gonna see the changes that you wanna see, and that's when we get frustrated. You know, it's
Yeah.
like both of y'all are former athletes, so sometime you're working on your game, you don't see immediate results, but
Yep.
it's
Yep.
during those times where now you in the game and randomly you hit a behind the back. You're like, "Ooh, man, okay, okay." But all them training hours, they start kicking in when you
Yep.
least expect it, and it takes you from a average into being great. And that's how you really like separate yourself. It's within the consistency and then evaluating the morning routine as you go through it and
Yep.
taking a step up. Like I didn't start out with all of this stuff. I started out,
Yeah.
like I said, Jeff was like, you need to be in the office first and leave late. That's how I started the morning routine. That's where it started
Yeah.
at. And then I had a conversation with AJ Johnson, another phenomenal person that helped me in my career. And she was like, "How are you getting better as a person?" And she
Mm.
played in the WNBA. She was our executive basketball operations manager at the University
Mhm.
of Louisville. And she was like, "You got to work on yourself." And I was like, at first, I'm like, "Man, what is this lady talking about? Like, she's tripping. Like, I'm trying to move up in my career. She asking me what books I read. I'm like, man, she got issues." And she's like, "Nah, she was like, reading is going to accelerate your growth." And I was like, "Hmm." She was like, "Yeah, you want to get to the next level, you need to read and expand your mind. You're working your mind out."
But you got to say that one more time, because I need people to hear that. I'm a former English teacher, and I don't think people really believe. What do you got to do to really keep your mind growing? You said,
But you got to read.
you got to read. You
You
got to
got to
read.
read.
Hey, folks listening to this that want short video clips and everything to be 10 seconds, you need to read. You need to read.
You
It's
need to
not
read.
illegal anymore. We can read now. Go read. Pick up a book. It's
Yeah,
good for you.
you need to read. And that's what she told me, you need to read. And I was like, okay. But because I was waking up earlier, I had this extra time. So
Mhm.
now I'm like, oh, okay, I could fill my time. So I just started, I didn't have a full morning routine. I just woke up earlier, I prayed, and I read a book. And the first personal development book that I read was Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen
Yep.
Covey.
Great book.
And that book also challenged me because all of the stuff that's in the book is stuff that we could control. Like these are not crazy things, like being proactive, waking up early, making a checklist. Like these are things I'm like, ooh, I can do this. So once I realized, oh, this is gonna take me getting another degree, like I started to really get addicted to just getting better. And that's really where it started at, is that personal development piece. It started with just reading a book.
Addicted to getting better. Put it on a shirt. Put it on a
Put it on
shirt.
and plug here. If you don't know where to start and which book to read first,
Read
click
this.
the link to Coaching the Winner Within, baby.
Read
Click
this
the
one.
link.
You don't have a book, read this one.
Click
That's
the
a
link.
great
Click
place
the
to
link. Click the link. And if you don't know anything about personal development or you don't know where to start, because I come across a lot of people and they're like, man, this is great information, coach. I really rock with you. Like, how do I get started? I'm like, read the book. Read the book because this is the steps. I wrote this for people that can't afford my coaching because I get a lot of people that hit me up and they want to get coached. I'm like, yeah, but I just can't do it if you're not willing to invest in yourself that type of way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I will lead you to the book, and this is a one-on-one coaching session with myself and with you as the reader. And it's not about my information. That's what I want people to understand. It's not about my information. These are practical things that you have inside of you that you're not sharpening and developing, and they could take you to the next level.
Coach, since launching the book earlier this year, what metric, obviously beyond sales, that has best told you that the message is sticking? Like you shared some feedback that you got for some people um, that have read the book and everything like that. Any surprising feedback, or how do you know that what's in that book really, really does work?
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously the feedback that I got when the guy said that this is a must read for up and coming coaches. But even outside of that, one of the biggest things that I received about the book was when somebody said, I'm a business owner and I'm gonna share this with my entire company because all of the things are practical things that everybody can do to advance. And it doesn't take you getting a new career, and that really touched me because, I wrote it for athletes, former athletes, coaches, leaders. I didn't think that it was going to be hitting business owners. Another aspect that somebody asked me about was the financial piece. A lot of people really like the financial aspect that I go into throughout the book because finances is a huge thing to me, especially as a coach. I think it's something that we don't talk about enough in the coaching community. Everybody's kind of like, you got to start with nothing and I ain't get paid. And I don't promote that. Like
Yeah.
I understand it, I get it, but like, I feel like you need to be financially literate. You need to
Yes.
understand how your money works for you. You need to understand saving and investing, paying your tithes, being generous with your money. And these are things that I talk about throughout the book. And I've gotten a lot of feedback because, me and my wife, we paid off over $260,000 worth of debt. So we are 100% debt free. We don't owe anybody anything. And to be honest, I never knew that that was what I was reaching for, but I always felt that in my heart. I just knew that
Hmm.
God wanted me to be a blessing to other people. And sometimes when you telling people like, yeah, I got your back. Yeah. It's just something about that $100 that hit a little bit different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like advice is just different when you could pull up and be like, hey, by the way, I got a gift card for you for $200. Like that,
Yeah.
that people just listen. It's just a little different with your generosity when it comes to that. But that's a journey that me and my wife are on, is just changing our family tree when it comes to
Mm.
finances. And I really dive into that in the book so you could walk away with some financial tips and strategies to help you become successful with your finances as well.
Important, especially in the coaching field, because like you said, it's something that's rarely talked about, but it's so important. And you could so easily, especially in the beginning stages of your coaching journey, get caught up and be in all this debt and stuff, just trying to eat and get by and pay the rent and all of that. Um, yeah. So it's like that's important. So I'm glad that's something that you touch on because you don't want to have to wait until, you are making 6 or 7 figures, wait, 30 years down the line or however long you got to be in to actually get paid what coaches deserve just because of the type of career that it is. No, you don't have to be out here starving. You can create generational wealth. You can begin to invest and put your money in different places so that you're not out here struggling and all of that. That is not what we're here to do. That's not
Yeah,
what we're here to do. And
yeah,
and like you said, it's so many people out there that are delivering that message when it's not true. It's
Mm-mm.
not true.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So
And then
you
telling
rather
the kids, oh, this my livelihood. Like, I don't want to put that on a teen. Like, I mean, I'm not about to put my financial
yeah,
obligations on you nor, I mean, I just show up different as a coach when I know, I got
yeah,
3 months put up. I ain't got no debt. If they tell me like, hey, we don't need you. Okay, cool. Like, I got another business. I got my
exactly.
own stuff. Like, it's just a
Yeah.
different type of confidence that you can coach from, and
Yes.
some coaches don't know that this is what's weighing them down.
Mm.
It's a blind spot. They
Mm,
think like, oh, well, I'm just showing up. But that is a stress on you. When you
yeah,
constantly talking about how much you make and if I don't get this player, my job in jeopardy, like you can't
yeah.
possibly think you're gonna win a championship thinking like that.
Mm-mm.
Can't. Wow. Wow. Man, so coach, one quick question for you. When it comes to young recruits out there at Rose, what are you looking for when you out there on those recruiting trails?
Very simple. Well, at Rose, it's not very simple because you gotta have the grades. You gotta want to be an engineer, so you gotta be in something STEM related, whether it's science, technology, engineering, or math. Those are things that you have to want to do. But outside of the academic portion, let's say the kid is qualified, they academically want to be here. The next thing that I'm looking for is the work ethic. And I have two different phases when it comes to recruiting. I got the evaluation and then I got the recruiting. So I'm gonna evaluate you for real first. Like I'm gonna make sure, like, because once we start recruiting you, now we're using our resources to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we
Yeah.
get a chance to go see you and stuff. So once I pull up, I know you the guard that we need, you the post player that we need. But the evaluation process for us is very, very important. And in that evaluation process, I'm measuring the work ethic. Do your coaches gotta consistently tell you what you need to be doing? How quick do you respond? When I call you, when I text you, are you texting back? Is it taking you
Mm,
all day? Are you on your phone during school?
Mm.
That's a trigger right there. If I know you texting and stuff in school, I know you ain't paying attention. So that already lets me know this might not be the spot for you.
mm,
So the work ethic piece is the portion that and I believe you used this word earlier in the talk, but non-negotiable, non-negotiable. You got to be willing to put the work in outside of stuff that we're doing with you.
love
Hey,
it.
you heard that? So if you on your phone, you thinking about going to play basketball at the highest level, you better get off that bad boy and listen to what your teacher is saying, please.
Coach, that sound like you be setting them up.
I would
Cause
say
what
this
you
is
said.
setup.
if you
Answer
don't
my
text me,
texts.
if you don't text me back, it's a no. If you do text me back, it's a no. I love it. That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, what's next for you? What's next for you? You got the book out now. And let our audience know where they can purchase the book or even book a coaching session with you and connect with you on social media.
Definitely. Well, first of all, I'm heavy on my Instagram, so it's my first name, Devrinn underscore Paul, Paul. Anytime you want to catch me, I do lives at least once a week on my Instagram page. Heavy on Facebook as well. I'm trying to get better with my X account, so I've been working on that one too. But so many different platforms out there. But Instagram is my go-to. So if you really want to catch me, hit me up on Instagram. If you want to get the book or one of the packages, I highly recommend the trio package where you can get the best of everything. You get the audio, you could get the digital workbook, and you get the physical copy. And if you listen to this podcast right now and you buy the book right now, I'll sign your copy and send it to you. So you get a signed copy. If you come from the Mental Locker Room podcast, that's what I'm giving from this podcast is a signed copy. But that's on Devrinn, DEVRINN.com. So you can find all of the book options there, everything about me there. That's my personal website. And you can also book a discovery call with me there if you want to talk or you want private coaching as well. But I think the biggest thing to understand when it comes to this space is nothing gets better until you get better. So I'm gonna say that again because somebody might have missed it. Nothing changes until you change. So make the change today.
Hey, that is a word. That is
Drop
a
the
word.
mic.
Mic drop moment. All right. We're going to quick round of applause for Coach DP coming through the mental locker room, brother.
Much appreciated.
Dropping gems, man. You gave us a lot to chew on. You gave us something to go read. And we are better for having this conversation. So we want to thank you, brother Tesh. Before we head out, man, give the people one more highlight of how many seats you got left, because it's going fast. They going fast, y'all.
Two of them things, man. Yes. We got 2 spots left in the locker room, the legacy coaching program. So again, if you're ready to build income and influence beyond the game, visit competitiveedgeleadershipacademy.com. And for any coaches out there that are looking for a speaker or a workshop facilitator that want to start the conversation now about athlete transition so that they know that there is more beyond the game. You want to leave them with something that they can create their own legacy, whether it's a career or building a business. I am doing workshop facilitations in those areas. So you can book a call with me or my team, or book a session and kind of let me know more information about your team at teshjohnson.com.
And if you like to do that thing that we've been talking about during this podcast called reading, you can also follow my Substack, claygohips.substack.com. I have my creative writing pieces. I have more academic egghead leadership scholarship that I write. New piece coming up called It's Complicated. Old piece dropped 2 weeks ago called I Want to Write Something Dope.
AC, God told me to start this podcast, and then he told me to call you. The time is now. You ready?
I got you, T. Let's do it.